Good morning, America. Heat and flood alerts affecting more than 60 million Americans. Overnight, emergency rescues from rapidly rising waters. The new risk for damaging winds, large hail, and up to 8 inches of rain. As dangerous heat builds across the central U.S., Samara tracking it all.
Crash investigation. The driver, who police say plowed into a crowd outside an LA nightclub, now facing charges.
Get out the way, bro!
30 people injured in the chaotic scene, with the manhunt now on for the person who police say shot the driver when he was pulled from his car. And so many questions this morning.
Answering his critics. President Trump's social media posts addressing the pressure from both sides to release the entire Jeffrey Epstein file as he looks to put the firestorm behind him.
Intense clashes. Nearly 1,000 people reported killed in Syria, the country seeing the worst sectarian violence since the fall of the Assad regime. The new hopes of restoring calm in the region.
Couple's mission. NFL star Shaquil Barrett and his wife campaigning for pool safety 2 years after a family tragedy. Their urgent advice to parents.
Mid-air malfunction. The concert scare for Katy Perry almost bounced from her butterfly. Other performers left hanging as well. Are these stunts going too far?
Let's get it now. Let's get it now.
And Queens of the Court. Highlights overnight from the WNBA's All-Star Game. Team Clark against Team Collier. The battle, one for the history books.
Live from ABC News headquarters in New York City, it's Sunday. Good morning, America.
We're just putting Gio to the test here. You don't
That's
mess around with
J-Lo.
your music.
That is J-Lo. That's
he loves it.
Nothing gets you going like J-Lo in the morning, right, Gio? Good morning, everybody. Good to have you with us on this Sunday. So a record-breaking night at the WNBA All-Star Game, and the players also sending a message with their warm-up T-shirts. We'll have all the highlights just ahead here.
Yeah, we are also covering the latest on the breaking news that we brought you yesterday, the LA nightclub crash that injured dozens of people. The charges this morning for the driver, who police say plowed his car into the crowd.
But we are going to begin here with the overnight storms and the severe weather threat today for damaging wind, flash flooding, and lightning across the Northeast. Samara Theodore is here with more on this. Good morning, Samara.
Good morning, Gio. That's correct. We have this flow moving through the Gulf into places like the Midwest and into the Mid-Atlantic, providing them with ample moisture. As a result, we've seen dangerous to devastating video out of places like Washington, D.C. and the greater area, and we have more flooding on the way today. This morning, severe weather battering much of the country. In Iowa, heavy rainfall and gusty winds creating hazardous driving conditions. This driver caught in the downpour, capturing the poor visibility conditions. Roads in Bethesda, Maryland submerged, and in nearby Chevy Chase, a similar scene. One car left stranded by floodwaters. Communities in Richmond, Virginia still cleaning up the damage from Friday's storms, which saw flash floods and thunderstorms like this one in states like North Carolina and Florida. Multiple emergency rescues after cities across the country hit by dangerous flash flooding. Rescue crews in Maryland escorting one man to safety after this creek flooded, his car getting stuck in the downpour. Rescuers walking through the surging current. The water's knee-deep, the driver thankfully sustaining no injuries. In Silver Spring, this metro station flooded. Water surging from this hydrant. Crews working to clear off the excess water with brooms. Heavy rainfall and thunderstorms also hitting parts of the Midwest. Meanwhile, in Texas, the number of missing from flooding earlier this month now dropping to 3 from more than 100 in hard-hit Kerr County. More than 130 people died in the devastating floods. Thankfully, Texas will be spared from any flash flooding today. However, we are anticipating more rain moving into places like Illinois. And you can see behind me here, this is the setup we're talking about. An area of high pressure sitting over Florida. That clockwise flow pushing ample moisture into the lower 48. Places like the Midwest will be hammered. Speaking of which, I need to bring you up to speed. If you live in this area in red, specifically central Illinois and just south of there, of Springfield, you are at a level 3 out of 4 when it it comes to significant risk for flash flooding. We could see 3 to 4 inches of rain an hour. Not only that, 4 to 8+ inches by the time it's all said and done. We're looking at multiple rounds of rain with this, so please keep that in mind. As we move throughout the day, these storms will continue to push all the way down into places like Kentucky and West Virginia as well. That's a look at the forecast. Janae, back to you.
Feels like we've been talking about flooding threats for weeks, Samara. Thank you. Turning now to the new details coming in overnight. In that terrifying scene that played out outside of a Los Angeles nightclub, at least 30 people injured when a driver crashed into the crowd outside of the club. Police say the driver was then shot. ABC's Melissa Don has the latest from LA this morning. Good morning, Melissa.
Good morning, Janae. So the LAPD is now asking for help from witnesses as they collect surveillance video to better understand what exactly led up to this car ramming.
This morning, one woman remains hospitalized in critical condition after 30 people were injured when a car plowed into a crowd in Los Angeles. The driver, now identified by LAPD as 29-year-old Fernando Ramirez. Police arresting Ramirez for assault with a deadly weapon.
Victims down from Santa Monica, Vermont.
Bystanders seen running early Saturday morning after LAPD says the driver of this gray Nissan rammed his car into a crowd outside of an East Hollywood club at closing time as people filed out.
He collided with approximately 30 people that he quite literally mowed down. He ultimately hit a food cart, and that food cart went up underneath the vehicle and then struck a light standard, which stopped his forward motion.
Once the car came to a halt, bystanders dragging the driver out of the vehicle, attacking him. Police say one of them shot the driver before running off. The driver taken to the hospital and recovering from surgery. Senior investigators say the driver had been escorted out of the club, started to drive away, and then made a U-turn, driving onto the sidewalk and into the crowd, crashing into club goers, valets, and food vendors at the Vermont Hollywood music venue. Eyewitnesses describing the scene as pure mayhem.
We're in disbelief because 20 seconds more, that would have been us.
Everyone was looking for their items, their people, their loved ones, their phones, their lost friends. Everything was just scattered.
More than 100 first responders dispatched to what they called a mass casualty incident.
We're very fortunate that no one died during this incident.
Now, the LAPD are still working to determine a motive for the car ramming, and several sources are saying that alcohol may have been a factor. Gio.
A terrifying incident there on the streets of L.A. Melissa, thank you. Now to President Trump and the bipartisan push for the release of the Epstein files. ABC's Selena Wang is tracking this story from Washington. Selena, good morning to you.
Hey, Gio, good morning. President Trump is trying to shut down the criticism and move past the Epstein controversy, but even he admits it's not going away anytime soon, saying that his latest move may not be enough to satisfy his critics. This morning, President Trump trying to put the Jeffrey Epstein firestorm behind him, but admits his administration's attempt to unseal the grand jury records related to the convicted sex offender may not be enough. Trump writing on social media, even if the court gave its full and unwavering approval, nothing will be good enough for the troublemakers and radical left lunatics making the request. It will always be more, but the pressure to do more coming from both parties.
Release the Epstein files. Release the Epstein files. Release the files.
Releasing the grand jury transcripts could be a long process and would not fulfill his team's campaign promises to release the full FBI files on Epstein, as some Republican and Democratic lawmakers are pushing for.
The public is not clamoring for the release of a redacted version of the grand jury transcripts. They're calling for the release of the entire file.
Epstein died by suicide in jail in 2019, shortly after his arrest on charges of sex trafficking and sexual abuse. Many of Trump's allies, including his FBI director Kash Patel and his deputy Dan Bongino, pushed Epstein conspiracies for years.
I don't trust any story they tell me about Jeffrey Epstein. There is a reason this client list is hidden.
Earlier this year, Attorney General Pam Bondi said she had that list. Then just weeks ago, the Justice Department and FBI said the list did not exist and that they would not release any more information about Epstein, sparking outrage from the president's base.
Trump gave the order to his Justice Department to release the grand jury transcripts just hours after the Wall Street Journal reported on a letter Trump allegedly sent Epstein for his birthday in 2003. ABC News has not confirmed the existence of the letter. Trump is now filing a $10 billion defamation lawsuit against the newspaper, including its conservative owner, Rupert Murdoch. In the lawsuit, Trump alleges the Journal falsely claimed that he authored, drew, and signed a letter to Epstein containing salacious language within a hand-drawn naked woman, which was signed with a heavy marker, and that no authentic letter or drawing exists. Dow Jones, the parent company of the Wall Street Journal, says they're standing by their reporting.
But it's likely going to be a while before the public sees any new information on this case. Grand jury testimonies are highly protected, and releasing them requires approval from a federal judge. But guys, calls are growing from both parties for more transparency. Whit?
Yes, we are seeing that. Selena Wang for us. Thank you. Let's bring in our chief global affairs anchor, Martha Raddatz, who will be hosting This Week later on this morning. Martha, good morning to you. Always great to see you. So let's start there. What are the stakes here for President Trump as he faces this growing anger in his own MAGA base over the Epstein files?
Well, Whit, this is dominating social media, the airwaves, and truly rattling his base. And that is not what the president wants right now. He wants to be touting his successes at this 6-month mark of his presidency and taking aim at the very people who put him in office, calling them weaklings and past supporters is likely not helpful either. And of course, he has defaulted to one of his favorite defensive moves, calling the Epstein matter a hoax. That is not what those supporters demanding to see the files believe. And to that, add to that his past relationship with Epstein. Even though the president says they had a major falling out many years ago, this whole thing puts President Trump in a very uncomfortable situation. Whit.
Yeah, definitely something to watch closely in the days and weeks ahead. I do want to turn now to immigration, because you sat down with Mayor Karen Bass of Los Angeles. What is she saying about how the deportation crackdown is impacting the nation's second biggest city?
Well, Mayor Bass is really fired up and angry about what's happening in her city. We walked around a heavily Hispanic neighborhood with her. There was like a ghost town because of the fear people are living under. And while she's happy to see that half of the National Guard has been sent home, there are several thousand more in her city. She firmly believes that the LAPD can handle any protests that occur in the city. Whit.
All right, Martha Raddatz for us. Thank you. We appreciate it. Tune into This Week later this morning for more on Martha's travels to Southern California, where she spoke with local officials and residents about the impact of President Trump's immigration and economic agenda. Plus, Republican Representative Tim Burchett on the intensifying fallout over the Trump administration's handling of the Jeffrey Epstein case files. Janae?
All right, Whit. This morning, nine out of 10 U.S. citizens freed in a prisoner swap with Venezuela are now back on U.S. soil. That's according to an official familiar with the matter. The 10th, a dual citizen, chose to make his first stop in Colombia. The group was released on Friday in a deal that has 250 Venezuelan migrants deported by the U.S. and detained in El Salvador, sent back to Venezuela. Also this morning, we are following the most intense flare-up of violence in Syria since the fall of the Assad regime. Hundreds reportedly killed. ABC's Patrick Reevell joins us now with more on the fighting and the toll that it's taking. Good morning to you, Patrick.
Morning, Janae. Yeah, this is some of the most dangerous violence in Syria since the fall of the Assad regime, and the U.S. has been trying to help broker an end to it for nearly a week. Intense fighting has gripped the city of Suwaida, home to the Druze minority. Arab tribal fighters and Druze militias battling each other. A British crew from Sky News filming yesterday got caught in the fire. There are horrific reports and videos of massacres and executions, homes being burnt. Nearly 1,000 people are reported dead, including many civilians. And earlier this week, Israel intervened, bombing Damascus and Syrian government forces. Israel said it was protecting the Druze and demanded Syrian troops withdraw. But that made things worse. The U.S. then rebuked Israel overnight. Secretary of State Marco Rubio saying Syria's government must use its security forces to end the slaughter. Now, today, the government does seem to be reasserting some order. Arab tribal fighters have reportedly left Suwaida, and people on the ground have told us today things are largely calm. But all this underlines how fragile Syria still is 8 months since the end of Assad, and the real risk that it could slide back into chaos. Gio.
Really troubling news out of Syria. Patrick, thank you for your reporting. We are going to turn now to the concerning rise in gastrointestinal cancers worldwide, including right here in America, affecting adults under 50 more than ever. A new study looking at about 10 years of data shows that colorectal cancer increased by 3.4% annually in adults under 40 in the U.S. Pancreatic cancer increased by 2.4% annually in adults under 50. And gastric cancer in the U.S. women under 40 increased by 4% per year. Troubling numbers indeed. ABC's medical correspondent, Dr. Darian Sutton, is here to break it all down. So what is happening here? Because this is happening to younger adults.
Yeah, and it's confirming what we've all been suspecting. If you've been online, you've heard personal stories. Many of us have heard stories from our friends, our coworkers. Younger and younger are people getting diagnosed with cancer. And as for what's behind these rates, Gio, there's a complex reason. There's a complex multitude of reasons from the evidence. And there are some leading risk factors that have been cited in this study. For example, obesity, ultra-processed food consumption, lack of physical activity, exposure to alcohol and smoking. But it's important to note that these are not just about individual choices. They're also about access to healthy foods, affordable spaces, to have spaces, safe spaces to work out, and also the time to prioritize. So it's a combination of biology, behavior, and the broader systems that affect our health.
So what's the best way to lower your cancer risk?
Yeah. Well, there are certain things that we all can do to lower our risk. I think what's important to understand is you won't bring that risk to zero. Unfortunately, there's no way to do that, but there are some things that you can change in your lifestyle. For example, our diet. We've found evidence that fiber-rich diets, cruciferous vegetables, leafy greens have been associated with a reduction in the rate of colorectal cancer. Gio, there's studies that show that 10 grams of dietary fiber a day can be associated with an approximate 10% reduction in risk. You also want to avoid red meats and processed foods. By the WHO standards, the World Health Organization, they're labeled as carcinogens. So you want to make sure to reduce that amount in your diet as much as possible, getting that regular exercise, and then also making sure that you visit your physician and talk to your provider.
Well, and you talk to them because you want that early detection. That's
Absolutely.
so important here.
Yeah. And it's really, really important. Less than 65% of adults go to their annual routine visits. That's how many of these cases are found. But it's also about talking about your symptoms. If you have chronic abdominal pain, changes in your bowel movement, so you're feeling chronic discomfort in any way, shape, or form, you want to make sure to get that evaluated. And then at the age of 40, everyone should start having conversations about screenings. Not just about colonoscopies, but mammograms, prostate screenings, all of the above, making sure that you're having these conversations early and being proactive.
Dr. Darian Sutton, we appreciate you.
Of course.
Thank you so much. Janae?
Important conversation to be talking about. Thank you, guys.
All right, we turn now to the main event overnight on WNBA All-Star Weekend. The league's biggest stars showing off their talents in a friendly rivalry, mostly friendly. And it was one for the record books, too. ABC's Christian Cordero is in Indianapolis with all the highlights. Hey, Christian.
Hey there, good morning, Whit. You know, for all the hype throughout the weekend, it is fitting, isn't it, that we got a history-making All-Star game last night. Team Clark versus Team Collier was the highest-scoring WNBA All-Star game ever, in part because of those super hard-to-make 4-point shots, you know, deep behind the three. Team Collier took the lead early, though, in the first quarter, and quite frankly, never looked back. The MVP herself, Napisa Collier, notched a record 36 points on the night. Teammate Skylar Diggins earned the All-Star game's first triple-double. Final score, 151 to 131. Caitlin Clark cheered her team on from the sidelines. She's one of 3 All-Stars sitting out last night with injuries. It comes as the league's expansion has led to a record number of games played in a season, and as players enter the thick of collective bargaining negotiations with the league. The players made their mark before tip-off, warming up in shirts that read, "Pay us what you owe us." Chants erupting post-games of fans echoing, "Pay them." WNBA Commissioner Kathy Engelbert has called the meetings candid and constructive, thanking all who have made this a very successful weekend here in Indianapolis. And it did feel like the celebration, not just of a sport, but of the league's growth and continued growth. Guys, the WNBA regular season goes back to the hardwood in 2 days. I have another year to train before I try that 4-point shot.
Oh, man. Yes, yes. You can do it. We believe in you, Christian.
You've got a year to train. You can make it happen.
Thank you.
Yeah, it wasn't bad.
Christian, thank you so much. Still coming up here on Good Morning America, NFL star Shaq Barrett and his wife join us live with a deeply personal story and crucial advice for all parents.
Yeah, very important conversation there. And Katy Perry's mid-air concert scare. The butterfly was almost a bust, and some other stunts gone wrong. Stick around.
And the latest move by the CEO seen in an embrace on a Jumbotron, and what his company is now saying about it.
We start this half hour with a really important parenting alert about pool safety ahead of National Drowning Prevention Day. The CDC ranks drowning as the leading cause of unintentional death among children between the ages of 1 and 4. NFL Tampa Bay Buccaneers linebacker Shaquil Barrett and his wife Jordana experienced every parent's worst nightmare, losing their 2-year-old daughter Araya to drowning back in 2023. Through their grief, they have made it their mission to help share their experience with other parents in hopes of preventing a similar accident. Shaquil and Jordana join us now live. Thank you both so much for being with us. We know you wanted to be here in person, but you had some flight trouble, so thank you for still joining us. First of all, how are you all doing now, 2 years later?
It's always a battle, and I would just like to say thank y'all for having us on. But it's always a battle, it's always a struggle. It's always, don't get no easier, but it's something that we've been managing, dealing with, just talking with each other, talking to our family, talking to our friends, our kids, making sure they're doing okay. It's just like we've got to communicate our way around it and about it for us to just keep moving on the hill and in a proper way.
And the way you're both turning pain into purpose here, generating awareness is so important. Some other information for people here, hundreds of children do die from drowning in the U.S. each year. And you say there were things that you actually wish you had known earlier. What are they?
So for us, it was like a basic step that we didn't even have. We didn't even have a gate that was protecting the pool. So that was like the main thing. Like we have door sensors, but we got annoyed like the kids going in and out all the time. So we ended up turning the door sensors off. So it's just like we got a lot of stuff that we had in place, but that tragic night that it happened or morning that it happened, like our gate that was over the stairs that lead to the pool, we had made a mistake and left that open. We made a mistake and left the door unlocked, so she go open the door to go down them stairs. We had the alarm, not the alarm, but the door chimes off. And then we just didn't know that the life vest and the flotation devices made it like so false, like false sense of security for the babies because they think they could swim now because every time they in the pool they got the life vest on, life jackets on, or flotation device. So we've been doing that all the time. Now we just do the ISR, make sure that they know how to swim in case worst case scenario. And like just the life vest thing, that was the biggest thing because nobody, like you always account to supervise your kids at a pool. You never account for like unsupervised kids at a pool. So you got to prepare for the worst case scenario. And that's what we've been doing lately, preparing for the worst case scenario because all parents are like, you don't never really have to worry about your kid when you're at the pool with them. It's the times when there isn't no supervision and something unfortunate like that could happen. So you just got to protect yourself with all the extra layers of protection when it comes to that.
And most importantly, most drownings happen during non-swim times. And so it's important to have all those safety layers before they're actually in the pool and leading up to them being in the pool.
Yeah, and that's exactly what we wanted to highlight here because close to 70% of drownings, like you just mentioned, they actually involve young children during those non-swimming times when a little one finds their way to a pool or even open water undetected. And you've learned together that there are ways to prevent this.
Oh, absolutely. And I think a key, too, is to put all swim toys away. I think that brings children to want to go to the pool, to want to have fun, and they see all the fun things. And so making sure that those things are put away so that it takes that distraction from them is really important.
Jordana, that is a really great point that you made, because that's something that wouldn't have crossed my mind. And I've got young children at home. For any parent, this is top of mind, especially over the summer. So again, thank you both so much for being with us. What do you recommend to people who might not have the access or the means for swim lessons? Because we know that those are so important, but what if someone doesn't have the resources?
If they don't have the resources, I'm pretty sure there's a lot of organizations out there that's willing to help. I know we have organization that we started in recognition of Array of Hope Foundation. So we most definitely, y'all can reach out to us. We got donations, so we got a little money that we can work with to help people get swim lessons. We partnered up a few times with Watermelon Swim School down here in Florida, Tampa, Florida. So I know they do a good job up there. I don't know what all they offer, like, in terms of being able to help and assist with people who can't afford it. But I know we work with them, so we could work with them to make stuff like that happen. But just reach out to us, reach out to any organization, drowning prevention organization, and I'm pretty sure they could lead you, send you to the right direction.
Well, Shaq and Jordana, we appreciate your honesty, and I think that the message that you're sending will help so many parents out there, and at least help them look into some of these resources that you speak of that could be available in their communities. Thank you so much for taking the time this morning. We truly appreciate it.
Yes, thank you so much for having us.
Yes, and sorry about not being able to be there in person. I wanted to so bad.
Oh, we appreciate you. We will bring you back. We promise. This is an important message, a story that that we need to keep covering and stay on top of. So thank you again for your time, and we will talk to you soon. The frightening moments for superstar Katy Perry, a mechanical malfunction on a giant butterfly she was riding in over a crowd in San Francisco. ABC's Morgan Norwood says that she's just the latest singer to run into some problems in these big shows. Morgan, good morning.
Hey, good morning to you guys. Yeah, really scary moments for Katy Perry. In the video, you can actually see her look up at the cables suspending her from above the crowd. But she's not alone in this. From Beyonce's flying car to Chris Brown's acrobatics, artists are taking concert stunts to new heights, literally. And now, questions about safety are taking center stage. This is the heart-stopping moment pop star Katy Perry's giant flying butterfly suddenly drops, lurching toward the crowd below. Perry stops singing and looks up at the rigging, then raising her hand as if to steady herself before continuing on with the song Roar.
She came over right in front of us and all of a sudden just dropped. And when that happened, my heart literally sunk because we were scared for her. We were scared for the fans that were also below her.
The scare unfolding Friday at the Chase Center, part of her Lifetimes tour. And this is not her first stunt stumble. Last month in Australia, the pop star clinging to her large metal sphere as it tipped to one side. And Katy Perry isn't the only star caught dangling from above.
We love you, Beyonce!
In June, Beyonce's flying red car tilting midair during her Cowboy Carter stop in her hometown of Houston.
Stop. Stop, 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 stop.
The megastar pausing the show, later reassuring the crowd.
If I fall, I know y'all catch me.
Stars like Beyonce, Katy Perry, and others, they're well aware of how much their concert, tickets are going for their fans. They really want to make sure that fans are getting their money worth.
And Chris Brown was left hanging during a performance in Newark until a ladder arrived. And this morning, as artists push the boundaries on stage, these malfunctions are raising questions about aerial stunt safety, not just for the performers, but for the fans watching below.
All right, so remember, when Katy Perry, Beyonce, or Chris Brown take flight, they're strapped into harnesses and backed by trained rigging teams. These are stunts that are carefully planned, but certainly Friday's scare in San Francisco is a reminder that even the best systems can malfunction, guys.
All right, Morgan, unbelievable. Thank you so much. All right, a caught-on-camera moment that went viral has now cost a CEO his job. The company Astronomer says that Andy Byron, spotted on a kiss cam at a Coldplay concert, has now stepped down. Everybody's talking about this story. Will Ganss is here with more on this.
Everyone's talking about it, and they weren't even suspended from wires hanging from the roof of the stadium. That's a completely different issue. This, though, is the kiss cam moment seen millions of times online. 2 Coldplay concert goers caught canoodling during the show at Gillette Stadium in Massachusetts. In case you haven't seen it somehow, here's the video that seemed to start all this trouble in paradise.
Yeah. Oh, look at these two. All right. Either they're having an affair or they're just very shy.
Oh yeah, Coldplay frontman Chris Martin suggesting the couple could be having an affair. And while neither party has offered a statement of their own, the company where the man allegedly works says he has resigned. Astronomer saying in a statement, our leaders are expected to set the standard in both conduct and accountability. And recently that standard was not met. Andy Byron has tendered his resignation and the board of directors has accepted. Now, that has not stopped social media from having fun with the now insanely viral moment. There are memes and videos all over the internet. The Philadelphia Phillies spoofing the moment during a game on Friday night.
You know, when they invented social media, it was for stories like this.
Exactly.
It's like,
pretty much.
They're living in the moment.
I talked to a behavioralist because this sort of reminded me of Scandival, remember a couple of years ago on Bravo, and they say that the reason we're so fascinated is because our survival instincts kick in, and it makes you think, what would I do if I was in a situation like this? How would I react? What would I do? And so there's a little bit of like, you know, some real human stuff going on here when we respond to this.
Sure.
Yeah.
All right.
Thank you so
Thank
much,
you, Will.
All right. Still coming up here on Good Morning America, some other hot topics that caught our eye this week. We're letting you into our group chat.
Come on in if you want to go.
We are back now on GMA with something new. We have mentioned the group chat that we have among the three of us.
Yep, we got this chat. So throughout the week, we share posts. Some of us send shady messages, and we keep each other keep each other updated on what's going on in the world.
So we want to bring you in. We want to let you in on this group chat as
At least
we look
a little bit.
A little bit, just a little bit. Yeah, not the whole thing. It's a whole range of topics and share what went through our minds this week. So I'll go first. So Tommy this week, I was telling you guys, he was off on a work trip, and I was alone, and I just couldn't sleep. And I was like, what is going on? I can't get to sleep. And it turns out there's actually some science about this. So here's what I found. I found that when a partner is absent, your nervous system may remain slightly more alert, even unconsciously. Our brains actually help regulate each other's emotions and stress.
Yeah.
And a 2020 study found that sleeping with a partner was associated with increased REM sleep and fewer awakenings. So it's actually better to sleep together.
All right.
It
it's
is really
science.
sweet. Yeah, my husband always says when I'm away, he has a hard time. That's very sweet.
He just says that.
So here's what stuck with me. Former President Barack Obama spoke on his wife Michelle's IMO podcast and revealed one challenge that would be difficult for him to take on. Check this out.
I think I would have had more difficulty raising a son.
I agree.
Because I think I might have been more judgmental, harder, and
So he also said that he would like to think that he would have been more self-aware enough to combat that, but he just thinks that father-son relationships for him, particularly if he didn't have a dad around to show him, might have been more difficult. And it's just the introspection that comes with parenting. Every day, your kid's a new kid, you're a new parent, and you're learning so much. And our family of origins, what we bring to the families we create, it's such an interesting dynamic.
My perspective is different, but I always knew I was going to have girls only.
Yeah?
Both times.
In your soul, you
it was
felt
like
that?
I was built to be a girl dad,
Yeah.
and I just like I knew it. I
You're
knew
gonna
it.
be a girly
And
pop.
Yep, girly pops.
That's what they
like to
call
it.
it.
Yep. All right, let's get into mine here because this week it was World Emoji Day this week, believe it or not, and we actually learned a lot from this, which I thought was interesting.
You learned a lot.
Yes, as a teen dad here, I learned a lot. There was a new study that shows that sending emojis can actually boost relationships.
Oh, really?
Yes, strengthen relationships, and people who use them feel more emotionally connected. We also learned that different generations see emojis differently. So we're going to go up with a couple here.
Okay.
The first one here is the skull emoji. So for us older folks, it means literal death or danger. Obviously, for Gen Z, it means I'm dead laughing.
Yeah.
Laughing.
Yeah.
And that's typically how we use it.
We had a lot more, but we totally ran out of time. So we're off to the races with this group chat.
That's how it is
thing.
on the group chat. We don't let you talk. Have a great Sunday, guys.